Korea itself is the startup industry and the investment industry is a lot of it. I'd say about directly and indirectly about 70 to maybe like 80% is driven by the Korean government as well.
Yeah.
And one kind of bad thing is that there's a lot of bureaucracy behind it because there's no free lunch, obviously. So everything has to tick out. But another kind of problem that I see is it's not as innovative and risk taking as it could be when compared to like venture capital money, basically, because it's run by the government and government officials. So they do the risk taking much more conservatively and much more kind of passively, I'd say. So that's a small and that as a whole kind of like holds a brake on the level of innovation that could be achieved, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I was also faced and told about this when I first landed here.
Mm-hmm.
But more and more I see that changing, particularly in a program that supports startups in Korea called TIPS.
Yes.
That it sort of inspired by Startup Nation Israel. They let private players pick the winners, not the government.
Right.
So accredited accelerators of VCs that have gotten through the government approval to play that role will throw the first $100,000 at a company.
Mm-hmm.
And then following that, the government might add another $500,000 for more R&D capacity, or if they have global potential, another $500,000 for global expansion. So I think that's also changing. And I think Korea, like inspired by countries like Israel, is also taking the direction of let the private market choose the winners, and then let the governments choose the willings.
Right.
So
that's very good.
Bit,
yes. Especially under this administration, I don't know how it's like going to change specifically, but I think the Korean government is also trying to push more of the private sector to kind of take the lead on it, and the government is willing to kind of support it as much as possible. So and another kind of good news that is on the horizon is also the Korean government as a whole is trying to push the global initiative instead of only doing all the businesses and only kind of rearing and pushing the domestic kind of startups as well, which is, I think, a good way to go for a Korean person as well. Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting your mayor, Mr. Oh.
Yeah.
And he told us he wanted to bring Seoul to number 5 startup hub in the world. So ahead of Singapore and Amsterdam.
Whoa, that's
and that's a two-way street. That's not only helping Korean startups become global, but also attracting more international startups, making this a real hub for that. And I'm very happy the recent decisions about both promoting Seoul as the startup. It is at the end a cosmopolitan. It is a challenge of projecting your cosmopolitan city to a global hub.
Exactly.
And I think the new decisions on making the existing funds more accessible and easy to obtain for foreign entrepreneurs is going to play a key role in that.
Definitely.